Good evening, everyone. Today's the regular council meeting for April 24th, 2024. Start off with the land acknowledgement. I'd like to acknowledge we're meeting on the traditional lands of Acadia First Nation, part of Mi'kmaq, the ancestral territory of the Mi'kmaq people. Could we all rise for the singing of O Canada? Everyone please follow. O Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love, in all of us command, with glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north strong and free. From far and wide, O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Thank you very much, everyone. I always enjoy doing the singing rather than a recorded version of it. Item number 4, approval of the agenda. Is there any additions or deletions to the agenda as circulated? Madam CAO.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I have one addition and one deletion to request. I'd like to request under new business, low-income exemption deadline.
So we'll put that item 8.4, low income tax exemption. All right, could I have a motion on the floor to approve the addition to the agenda as circulated? Moved by Councillor Sherry Hurlbert, seconded by Councillor Lauren Cushing. Motion on the floor to put that addition. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Madam CEO, you still have the floor.
And a request for deletion, Mr. Chair, item 12.2, personnel. That matter has resolved itself.
Okay. Need a motion to delete item 12.2 on the agenda. Anyone want to make that motion? Moved by Councillor Sherry Hurlbert, seconded by Councillor Nick Hilton. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Councillor Nick Hilton.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And under the in-camera 12 section, can we add contract negotiations for the Mariner Center expansion?
Okay, we'll add that as item
That is 12.1. That is 12.1.
Okay, it made it on. Perfect.
it's a standing item.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right, is there any more additions or deletions? Councillor Hilton?
Nope.
All right. We have an amended agenda. I'd entertain a motion to approve the agenda as amended. Moved by Councillor Patty Durkee, seconded by Councillor Daniel Allen. Motion on the floor. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Item number 5, if there's any declarations of conflict of interest, please notify me and I'll make sure your name is recorded in the meeting minutes. Item number 6, approval of the minutes. You'll have that in your package. What is the pleasure of council? Councillor Nick Hilton.
We'll move them as presented.
Motion on the floor to move the minutes as presented. Do I have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Lauren Cushing. Discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Item number 7, there's no old business. Item number 8, new business. First reading the Municipal Heritage Property Bylaw M-6108-24. Madam CEO?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So at Committee of the Whole, amendments to the bylaw were presented to Committee of the Whole for review, and there was a recommendation to recommend first reading to council, so I submit it to council for their consideration.
What is the pleasure of council? Councillor Patty Durkee.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Madam CA. I will move that that the municipality of the District of Yarmouth move the municipal heritage property bylaw M-6108-24 to second reading. We passed first reading. No, we're moving it to first reading?
Yes, please.
Thank you very much.
Excuse me. Motion on the floor. Do I have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Daniel Allen. Any discussion on that? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary? Motion carried unanimously. Item 8.2, recommendations from the Committee of the Whole. Item 8.2.1, provincial policing priorities process. Councillor Nick Hilton.
Thank you, and I'll move that, this is a letter about the provincial policing priorities that we move, or the municipality and district of Yarmouth move that we refer this letter to the Joint Police Advisory Committee.
Your motion on the floor. Do I have a seconder? Second by Councillor Lauren Cushion. Any discussion on that? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Item 8.2.2, letter from the Federal Ghost Gear Program. Councillor Nick Hilton.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I find it quite fitting and happy to make this motion the week of Earth Day, that Modi send a letter to the Federal Minister of Fisheries and Oceans, copying Zach Churchill, Premier Houston, and Minister Holman, stating the importance of the Ghost Gear Fund, highlighting the work accomplished over the years here, specifically in Yarmouth, and ask the government reconsider funding the program.
Okay, a motion on the floor. Do I have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Patty Durkee. Any discussion on that? Councillor Nick Hilton, your mic is still on. You still have the floor.
It was on.
Was on. There you go.
Yours
Sorry.
is off.
Sorry, I wasn't planning to say much other than we talked about it at the Committee of the Whole, in that, you know, within Yarmouth County, I think we've just surpassed 400,000 pounds of roadside and beach debris removed in the last 3 years. And a lot of that is significant to the funding of the Ghost Gear Fund and the group that comes here from away to help organize those removals. And we know that this year, without that funding, that group, if they visit, it will be less frequently, if at all. So it's a good motion, and it's something that we should support. Just this morning, 2 trucks arrived at the Yarmouth Bar. Similar funding, maybe not specific to this, and removed 20 metric tons of old ghost gear off the Yarmouth Bar.
Madam CEO.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I just have a recommendation to council that in the distribution to the letter, we include the Member of Parliament, Chris D'Entremont.
So is someone willing to make that an amendment on the main motion? Okay, moved by Councillor Nick Hilton to make that amendment on the main motion, seconded by Councillor Patty Durkee. Is there any discussion on the amendment? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Back to the main motion. Any more discussion on the main motion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Item 8.3.2, CAO Committee Appointment. Councillor Daniel Allen.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to make a motion that Sherry Hurlbert be reappointed to the CAO committee until the election takes place and newly elected officials are appointed to committees.
A motion on the floor. Do I have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Nick Hilton. Discussion on that? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Item 8.2.4, opening, closing of the Milton Dam process. Councillor Allen, your mic is still on. You wish to speak? Councillor Sherry Hurlbert.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll make a motion that the municipality of District of Yarmouth ask staff to work with the town of Yarmouth to understand the process and protocols for opening and closing the Milton Dam.
Okay, a motion on the floor. Do I have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Trevor Cunningham. Any discussion on that motion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Item 8.2.5, Yasta Corps funding request. Councillor Nick Hilton.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and just a motion for Modi to move the Astor funding request to defer it to the budget discussions in the month of May.
Okay, a motion on the floor. Do I have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Patty Durkee. Any discussion on that? I will say one thing about that. I'm very glad to see, yes, this core funding request. They do a lot of work and a lot of advocating for tourism in the area, along with the ferry and a bunch of other things that people may not be aware of. I'd like to personally thank that committee. That's one of the committees that I was on when I originally come on to council when it was first formed, and it's only grown in their keeping the highlight on our area and the importance of the ferry and all the other tourism attractions that we have around here. So very glad to see that. Any more discussion on that motion on the floor? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Okay, a motion on the floor, item 8.2.6, letter re the carbon tax. Councillor Nick Hilton.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and after a lengthy discussion at Committee of the Whole, the motion will be to send a letter to Prime Minister Trudeau and Premier Houston, copying Zach Churchill and our MP Chris D'Entremont, reaffirming that council is seeing the struggles of residents, or that the struggles residents face with the effect of the additional taxes, and for them to follow through with the conversation to discuss what can be done for the residents of Nova Scotia.
Okay, a motion on the floor. I have a seconder, seconded by Councillor Daniel Allen. Any discussion on that? Councillor Hilton, your mic's still on.
I'm good, thank you.
Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Item 8.2.7, draft fees policy F-044-02.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So in council's package is an amendment to the fees policy that aligns with the first reading of the heritage bylaw. So there are fees that go along with registering and deregistering a property, and the amounts of $100 are exactly the fees that are incurred by the municipality for those functions.
What is council's pleasure? Councillor Daniel Allen.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to make a motion that council approve the fees policy F-044-02 as amended.
Okay, a motion on the floor, seconded by Councillor Lauren Cushing. Any discussion? Councillor Patty Durkee.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. While understanding that we do have many different fees. One of the things with the heritage properties is, first of all, we'd like to encourage more people to actually sign up for, be registered as a heritage property. It's wonderful for the community. We've just got a brand-new brochure, which I have to say kudos to Marissa for putting that together. It's wonderful because it highlights all of our heritage properties in the county. The concern I have is, would this, I believe it would be $100 to register your property, and the concern I have is that would it turn people off from registering? First of all, you have to understand that when someone does have a registered property, the cost to maintain it is more expensive because you have to follow the rules of heritage properties. And that, one example would be if you wanted to change doors and windows, if to keep it in the style of the heritage, it may cost more money. So I'm just a little concerned that having a $100 fee would maybe turn people off from registering. And we do have many heritage properties in Yarmouth County, and I would hate to see them be discouraged from doing that.
Any more discussion? Hearing none?
Mr. Chair?
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed Councillor Allen. Councillor Daniel Allen.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Maybe you can tell me exactly, how many properties is there that aren't registered? Do you know, do you have a number? Is there a number? I'm just wondering what kind of, like, and maybe through the chair to the Madam CAO, is there a registration fee that we would pay if the person didn't pay it themselves?
So two-part question, so I'll answer part B and Jenny can answer part A. She's our heritage coordinator. So the fees at the Registry of Deeds to record the registration on the deed, the municipality would, that has to be done, that has to be paid. So if council doesn't want to recoup the cost from the applicant, then it just gets funded out of the general rate. So it's an expense, it's a cost of doing business.
Councillor Allen?
So I guess through you to Jenny, so I'm just kind of wondering what kind of exposure could there be if we eliminated the rate, if we eliminated the fee?
Nope. There you go.
So there's certain criteria that a property needs to meet to be eligible to be a heritage property. So we actually had some inventory done on properties around the municipality. And I don't have the exact number, but there's thousands of properties that would be eligible or fit the criteria. Yeah.
Councillor Patty Durkee.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you to our municipal clerk, Jenny. Jenny, how often is a property registered? Like in the past year, couple of years, how many properties have been registered?
There you go.
Okay, yeah. I started here in 2020 and we've only had one since I've started. And the one before that, I believe, was in 2010.
Councillor Durkee.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So through you to our CAO, so for that one piece of property that was registered, which I believe is a cemetery, before we pass this fees policy, would the municipality have covered the cost of registry?
Yes, they would have. I think what's happened is the costs have escalated. So until we had the new application, we didn't realize that the cost of the Registry of Deeds had escalated. And so that's why we're bringing it forward to council for consideration.
Okay. And are you aware of what the previous cost was?
I don't know. No, I don't.
Okay,
I'm not
thank
aware.
you.
Any more questions? Is council comfortable with the motion on the floor? Seeing no objections, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion of 5 to 2, motion is carried. A vote of 5 to 2, sorry. Motion is carried. Thank you, council. Do you wish to have your names recorded? Thank you, council. Item 8.2.8, Sanford Drawbridge signage. Yeah, he's just trying to load.
Sorry. I'd like to make a motion that the municipality, the District of Yarmouth staff look into the cost of adding signage for the Sanford Drawbridge along Highway 304 in Milton Highlands, Highway 1 in Darlings Lake, and Main Shore Road at the top of the Ross Durkee Road.
Okay, a motion on the floor. To have a seconder, seconded by Councillor Nick Hilton. Any discussion on that? Councillor Durkee, you still have the floor.
Yes, please, and thank you. I would just like to say that this is a request from community members who are working really hard to actually clean up the area around the Sanford Drawbridge. We know that it has been noted as the smallest drawbridge in the world, and it attracts a lot of people, particularly locals and tourists, actually, who like to go have a look at that. We think it could be another draw along with Cape Freshoo, and the more things we have for tourists to do in particular, or then the more beautification to some of these areas, the more attractive it would be. So I will be absolutely in support of this motion.
Councillor Lauren Cushing, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The only thing I see that is, I believe is an error in the signage for the Sanford Drawbridge along Highway 304. It's actually Main Shore Road. It's in Milton Highlands. So you really don't need the Milton Highlands, you just need the Main Shore Road. Because Highway 304 takes you to Cape Freshoo.
It's a corner.
Is it the corner?
Yes, corner.
Councillor Cushing, can we come back to you to get your clarified?
I just heard it through Councilor Durkee mentioned the corner, but it doesn't say the corner. It says along Highway 304, so, you know,
Madam CEO, you pull that up?
because you got Darnings Lake and
Yeah.
Main Shore Road, top of Ross Durkee Road, Sanford, but you don't have the Main Shore Road.
So that should be made an amendment to the main motion then. Yeah, it should be. It should be made as an amendment. Councillor Durkee?
That's fine, thank you. I will amend that to say the corner of the Main Shore Road and Highway 304.
Okay, an amendment on the main motion has just been made. Do I have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Lauren Cushion. Any discussion on that? I will say this. Good catch, Councillor Cushing. Good catch. Because we want to make sure that the motions are correct. So there's an amendment on the main motion. Any more discussion on that? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Back to the main motion. Any more discussion on the main motion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Item 8.3, recommendations from the Planning Advisory Committee. 8.3.1, C&D Community Design Report. You have that in your package. Deputy Warden Trevor Cunningham.
Right, on recommendation of the Planning Advisory Committee from Tuesday, April 16th, 2024, I move that the municipality of the District of Yarmouth rezone the subject property at 3087 Main Shore Road from Hamlet Residential to Hamlet Commercial.
Okay, a motion on the floor. Do I have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Patty Durkee. Discussion on that? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. All right. Addition to the agenda here, item 8.4, low income tax exemption. Madam CAO, you would ask to have that added? You have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So under normal conditions, the intake period for the municipality's low-income exemption runs from April 1st until May, actually, anytime after income tax papers are available to May 15th. And then the people who apply and qualify, they receive an exemption on their property taxes of $200 or 50%, whichever is less, on their primary residence. Just recognizing some of the extraordinary circumstances that residents are facing, excuse me, Mr. Chair, I'm just recommending that council lengthen the intake period to allow people more time to get their applications in and allow us to roll out a support program at the staff level to help people make applications. So my recommendation is that council extend the intake period to August 30th.
Okay, motion on the, no. CEO cannot make a motion.
Nope.
What is council's pleasure? Councillor Sherry Hurlbert.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll make that. And whereas the municipality of Yarmouth supports low-income households with an exemption in property taxes on the primary residence of 50% or $200, whichever is less, and whereas the municipality of Yarmouth recognizes more support to qualifying households may be a benefit, and whereas the municipality of Yarmouth seeks to offer more support for applicants to the low-income exemption by extending the application period. Therefore, be it resolved that council waive the application deadline in section 2.8 of the low exemption policy L-068-09 and set the application deadline for August 30th, 2024.
Okay, a motion on the floor. Do I have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Nick Hilton. Councillor Hurlbert, could you please repeat the section of that?
Yep, I'll open it up again.
That's in the motion. It was in section 2.8, you said?
2.8 of the low exemption policy.
Okay.
Yep.
You still have the floor, Councillor
Thank you.
Hurlbert.
Thank you very much. And thank you, Madam CAO, for looking into this. And you spoke about having support for those. So as that information becomes available, we will make sure our residents are aware. Can we maybe put it in the newsletter? Do we have a newsletter going out?
We do, so it'll be in the newsletter. We'll communicate it through our website and social media, and we're also hoping to do a partnership with CGLS and spread the word via radio. So essentially what we're going to do is we'll have 4 hours a week where staff in the building will be available for applicants to drop in, and we can walk them through the application process, help them complete the application. If they've misplaced their notice of assessment, support them in getting that replaced. And then through our senior safety program, we're also going to accept in-home appointments to help get applications filled.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much.
I do have a question to the CAO in regards to item 2.8 on that low income tax policy L-068-09. The motion that's on the floor, if I'm correct, is only for a one-time waiving, or is that going to change this policy?
No, it's not a recommendation to amend the policy. It's just a one-time waiving of that deadline in favor of an extension this year.
Okay. Any more discussion on the motion on the floor? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Moving on to item number 9, correspondence, 9.1 for action, 9.1.1. The Wren Liaison and Oversight Committee Recruitment and Nominations Committee composition.
Thank you, Mr.
MCO.
Chair. So I'll start, and Councillor Durkee is the municipality's representative on the Western Regional Enterprise Network Liaison Oversight Committee, so she'll probably contribute to the conversation. So we've been involved in an intermunicipal agreement for a number of years now that stands up the Western Ren, which is our regional economic development agency. And inside that intermunicipal agreement, the governance structure calls for the elected officials in the participating municipalities to create a nominating committee, and that nominating committee recruits the private sector individuals who sit on the board of directors. And there's just been a recognition over the years that maybe that could be done a little bit differently. It's been a bit challenging to develop a list of nominees for the board of directors. And so I think between the LNO and the board of directors, they're in agreement that we might want to try a slightly different model for the nominating committee. So in your letter, at the bottom of page 1, it reads, moving forward, it's recommended the new composition would consist of 2 members of the Western Ren Board of Directors, 1 member of the Liaison and Oversight Committee who is appointed by the province, and 1 member of the Liaison and Oversight Committee who is an elected official.
Councillor Durkee, do you have anything to add?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Madam CAO. In the past, it has been the job of the Liaison and Oversight Committee to find people to sit on that board, and the board actually feels that because they are a board of business people, it is more likely that they know exactly what their board requires in terms of responsibilities and experience to sit on the board, and that they would be more effective in trying to find people to sit on that board. So on that note, I would like to make a motion that we accept the new composition of the Western Ren Board of Directors Nominating Committee.
Okay, a motion on the floor. Do I have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Lauren Cushion. Yes, Madam CEO. I'd also have a question.
Okay, so just for clarity, that means that there will be an amendment to the intermunicipal agreement if all of the councils agree to this change. So an amendment will get circulated to the council for approval.
And that was the crux of my question that I had. This would have to be approved by all participating members of the Western Regional Enterprise Network, correct?
And so for clarity, Mr. Chair, that's the town of Digby, the municipality of the district of Digby, the municipality of the district of Clare, the municipality of the district of Yarmouth, town of Yarmouth, municipality of the district of Argyle, and the municipality of the district of Barrington.
Yes. All right, any more discussion on the motion on the floor? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Item 9.2, items for information. We have 6 items for information. Is there anything that anyone would like to add? Councillor Nick Hilton.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and just a couple comments about 9.2.3, which I am involved in and did not participate in any of the funding decisions, but just a little update. It works a little differently because it happens in April, or new budget year, but before grants are given. So that report is from last April. Earth Day weekend was last weekend, and just in tallying up some of the numbers from this year's Earth Day, the cleanups that were organized by the Earth Day weekend committee tallied just over 8,000 pounds of trash between what the community provided on Saturday at Mariner Center, which included about 150 families that brought in garbage. In a reward for that, they were given a hot dog and played on the bouncy castles and provided some education around cleaner communities. On Sunday, we cleaned up 1 kilometer, 10 of us cleaned up 1 kilometer of the Hard Scratch Road for 1,100 pounds of garbage. That road is 10 kilometers long, so you can do the math on that. And that afternoon, we got 2,500 pounds off of Cape for Shoe. So we definitely have an issue. It's not getting any better. And we as council should keep that in mind when we're making some decisions. So, and also on Friday, we did 4 school cleanups where staff related to that to the community cleanup, went into schools, talked to classes, and then cleaned the school grounds. And that was all over Yarmouth County. We distributed 2,200 flyers to every primary to grade 6 student, offering them the opportunity to participate in the school cleanup. And that was really our weekend, and it was well attended. The weather was held off just long enough, and it was great. So besides that, over 8,000 pounds, we had 10,000 pounds picked up by other community organizations during that day, or that weekend, that provided the numbers to us so that we can include it, in a county-wide number. So I just wanted to you guys to know the difference, that we're not claiming for other people's numbers, but they do exist. And a big part of that was what the Yarmouth High School O2 program collected, and they collected on the Cleveland Road over 2,800 pounds of garbage, including 21 vacuums. So as the counselor for the Cleveland Road, I just want to send them a really big appreciation, and something that I was told that would go a long way to do that is to provide them a letter that they maybe could use in the future, saying, how thankful we are as a council and as a community, and an appreciation for what they've done. So I'd like to make that a motion that we provide the Yarmouth High School O2 class. You could also address it to all of the rest of the Yarmouth High students, because I know they collected another over 1,000 pounds the following couple days at the school, and just send them a letter saying thank you for everything that they've done for their community and how much we appreciate it.
Motion on the floor. Someone willing to second that? Councillor Patty Durkee. Discussion on that? Councillor Durkee, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Huge shout out and thank you to Nick for organizing Earth Day the past couple of years, and the difference that it has made to our community. It's really unfortunate that people decide to throw their garbage wherever they want. I just can't comprehend what they were thinking. Like, when I hear that there were 21 vacuums on Cleveland, like, why? Why on one road would there be 21 vacuum cleaners? Like, it makes zero sense to me. I think that we are working too hard to have to do that, and it should be up to individuals just to hold on to their garbage and get rid of it properly. On that note as well, I'd like to say a special thank you to the students at Port Maitland School as well, because they went down to the beach and did a cleanup and posted a picture of their work as well. And my husband and I saw them coming up from the beach, so it was really nice that they took part. And one last comment, I think it's really important for us to continue to fund the Earth Day activities.
Councillor Hilton.
I'm sorry, I just want to make it clear that although I'm providing that letter, I have great appreciation for all the organizations that participated in that. We know for years that the cadets have done Water Street. The difference was this year they collected it and they came and joined us at Mariner Center. So we really are kind of sharing or spreading the word as a community, and sharing in the appreciation of that afterwards. And this afternoon on our lunch break, the staff here at Modi collected over 200 pounds from the doorsteps here around to the Hebron ballpark. So there's no shortage of trash, that's for sure.
Any more discussion on the motion on the floor? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. As soon as staff draws that up, I'm happy to sign it.
Who's first?
Councillor Patty Durkee, you're first.
Is it regards to the same topic? Oh, okay. I don't know. I'd like to comment with regards to the letter from Kim Maslin and from the Minister of Public Works with regards to the cost-sharing program for paving subdivisions of the J-class streets, it's really, really disappointing to hear again that the roads that we had submitted, which were Hillside Drive, Churchill Street, Park Drive, and Hector Street, are not going to be paved again. I can tell you that I've had numerous complaints from people in my neighborhood about Hector Street and how bad it is, and especially in the wintertime, the road is a mess. And yes, I'm all in favor of resubmitting for the 2025-26 program. However, this is like the third time that we're going to have to do it, because it's just not getting done. Thanks.
Yes, go ahead, Madam CEO.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, excuse me, when I received the letter, I did reach out and ask for a debrief, because it was the second year that the same slate of projects didn't receive any funding at all. So I had a chat with a senior engineer, and the way the money is allocated is like this. J-class roads are a class of roads that are owned by the province, but they're cost-shared 50-50 between municipalities in the province. And every municipality has a different number of kilometers under that program. Annually, the province assigns $1 million to capital improvements to those roads, and the improvement plan is a 50-50 plan. So every dollar that the province puts in, a participating municipality puts in a dollar. And that $1 million that the province has available is allocated based on the number of kilometers in each municipality in the program. So if the municipality of Yarmouth, for example, had 1% of the total number of roads in Nova Scotia in the J-class program, the municipality would be entitled to 1% of the $1 million. And then we would put our matching dollars to it. So that means for the municipality of Yarmouth, it's approximately $96,000 of the $1 million available. The projects that were nominated, each one of them came in above that value, which meant that they couldn't be assigned an award, which is why they're not being selected for projects. It's a problem across the province because everybody knows what construction costs have done in the last 4 or 5 years. And so I'm given to understand that Minister Maslin has been briefed on this, that it's problematic. J-class roads are not receiving capital improvements because there's basically not enough money in the program. And so, you know, the hope is that the minister might do a top-up until the entire program allocation can be reviewed.
From my understanding, the last J-class road that we had repaired here would have been Lily Pond Road in Lake Vaughan area, if I remember correctly.
And Goodwin Drive and Kenny Hill.
Goodwin Drive and Kenny Hill, yes, that's right. Councillor Sherry Hurlbert.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I will echo the comments of Councillor Durkee. I was extremely disappointed, and probably even more so after the CAO's explanation as to why. So it would appear that we should never submit an application because it's never going to get looked at because the costs are so high. So it feels like a futile effort. Like we could just keep resubmitting and every year be like, yeah, we're never going to get it because numbers are going to be. So I will make a motion, and I'm not sure because this is on the fly now that you've given some explanation. I might need some help with this. I'll make a motion that we write to Minister Maslin asking for a top-up in the J-class funding in order to meet the increasing construction demands?
Correct. The motion on the floor, do I have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Patty Durkee. You still have the floor, Councillor.
Thank you. Ridiculous probably isn't the right word, but it's the only word I can come up with at this point. You know, change the funding model, figure something out. Like, there would be thousands of kilometers of road all across the province, as the CAO pointed out, that are not getting funding. So I guess I would wonder where the money is going. Is that report of J-class roads included in the construction report that the Department of...
No, it doesn't show up in the 5-year construction plan because it's funded in a separate funding stream.
So is there a way to get that report to see where this money is going, like what parts of the province?
Oh, the total, I can
Yeah.
ask the question to see if they can let us know what projects were funded and what the budget is for them.
Like in the last couple of years, just to see, what is getting funded? Is it, does it look like it's one particular place over another? Is it really spread out all across the province? Be interesting to know that.
It would, and what was shared with me, so for example, Halifax has the highest number of kilometers in the
Makes sense.
J-Class road program.
Sure.
They're nominating projects, and their percentage of projects that get funded is decreasing as well. So the money's just not going further. It's just not going as far. The issue is that their allotment is so much higher. If they have a project that comes in at $250,000, their allotment of that $1 million probably gets them 1 out of 3, for example.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. No, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Any more discussion on the motion on the floor? Councillor Nick Hilton?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and, yeah, I think there's kind of like a glitch in the matrix, because there's no possibility of us ever getting the money. Never was. This is kind of the first I've heard of it, with a real explanation of why. So, the letter asking them to top it up is one thing, but they need to review the entire process, because we'll never get any funding. Is that correct, Madam CEO? That kind of sounds the way it is, unless we nominate 50 feet of road at a time.
Well, I think the issue is the total program allotment. The funding allocation works when the allotment aligns with construction costs, because we have been successful in the past.
Yeah, well, we know that that's not going to be the case going forward. So, I have a question about, sorry, is it Hillside Drive? The one in? It is. So we had a letter from a local resident asking about that. This was we were supposed to wait until we received notification on what they were going to do with the J-Class roads. We've now done that. I was looking at the picture earlier today, I actually have it in front of me, where 80% of it is covered by water every time it rains. So we know that it's not going to be fixed by paving the road. How do we communicate that to local department supervisors that we need them to address the drainage issue on that road, if not at least temporarily?
Yes, so I think at this point, then, we should forward the residents' concerns and the photographs to the area manager to have it addressed.
And can we ask for a response?
Absolutely.
So I'll make that a motion, please.
Motion on the floor.
Oh, sorry. I'll make that one after this. Sorry.
I will make a comment in that regards. Anytime that we have provincial road issues with flooding and stuff, number one, I always advocate to the website, dpw-occ.novascotia.ca. That way there you'll get a ticket number and a response to get a follow-up, or the phone number. I can't remember the phone number off the top of my head, because more than like, my favorite thing is to make sure that you have it in writing, that you've sent it, and then you get a ticket number and you can return it. That's one avenue that I've always pushed, whether it's for flooding issues, whether it's for road grading, which has been a hot topic here lately again. That's one thing that I do, but there is a motion on the floor in regards to the writing a letter to Minister Maslin. So if you want to make a motion afterwards.
I will.
Okay, is there any more discussion on the motion on the floor? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Councillor Nick Hilton?
I will make a motion that the Municipality District of Yarmouth forward our resident complaint related to Hillside Drive to our local Department of Transportation office supervisor, asking him to identify or to address the drainage issues outlined in the picture provided, and provide the Municipality and District of Yarmouth with a response.
Okay, a motion on the floor. Do I have a seconder? Seconded by Deputy Warden Trevor Cunningham. Discussion on that motion? One thing I will say is I'll repeat myself. dpw-occ.novascotia.ca is the best way that I find to report those. However, I think the motion on the floor is appropriate. But it's also, as far as I'm concerned, whether you as a counselor does it or the resident, I think that the more complaints that Department of Public Works received about provincial roads, the more likely they are to get repaired. I am in favor of the motion on the floor, but I just wanted to point that out. Any more discussion on the motion on the floor? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you, council. Any more discussion on any of the information items? Seeing none, move on to reports. Item 10.1, the CAO's report, rather lengthy. Councillor Sherry Hurlbert.
If the Madam CIO wants to start, she can. It's
Yeah,
okay.
I was just going to respond to the warden's comment about it being lengthy. It's because it's the quarterly report, so it's got additional information that we just bring to you quarterly.
So a couple of questions, comments. We had our municipal tax sale. Things seem to be, everything was properties for sale, 7, properties sold, 7. So, good. A couple of things under the business action plan. I like that when the update says complete. That's very good. The first thing that caught my eye and I knew that was happening is the grand opening at the Look-Off at Cape First Shoe, which will be Friday, May 17th. Can you speak to that or do something?
Sure,
Yeah.
yep. So the municipality undertook a project to add viewing platforms outside of the fog alarm building at the Cape for Shoe site. And those projects were designed by council to address accessibility issues. When the tower was opened up for the Climb and Light experience, it was recognized that only certain people could participate in that experience. So the look-offs are an additional opportunity to view the water for people of other ability levels. And so funding was received from the province and from ACOA, and then contributions from the municipality to construct the platforms. And so there will be a grand opening of those platforms on May the 17th at 9 a.m.
Perfect, thanks.
And everybody's welcome.
Thank you. And how about an update on cell service? I know it says that the AMA, have been working with municipal affairs. Is there any update on that?
Yep. So Municipal Affairs is actually convening a meeting of the CAOs in the Tri-Counties with Build Nova Scotia to try and get specific details on what Build Nova Scotia has in mind for this part of the province. So stay tuned.
Okay, and I think that was it for me. Thank you very much.
Any more discussion on the CEO's report? One thing I wanted to point out, if anyone's wondering what's going on in the municipality and the motions that council's made, I don't know how many pages this is, but it's a bunch. It's a very detailed report, and I'd like to thank the CAO. As Councillor Hurlbert pointed out, there's some things that are completed, there's some work that's ongoing, and there's updates on all the motions and all that other stuff. There's summaries over the past month, and looking ahead, there's a whole lot of stuff, along with our finances is in there as well. So if anyone that's watching wants to look to see what the municipality is up to, we've been busy. Councillor Durkee.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to point out, there's an interesting piece about taking a step back, and I thank the CAO for presenting the information from our development and deed transfer tax and permits. And of note is that, yes, we certainly had a rise during COVID, people coming and buying and permits being issued for development. And if you look at the graphs that have been put in the CAO report, you'll note that there has been a decrease in the amount of the deed transfer tax, the decrease in the number of permits, and decrease in the dollar amount of permits over the last 18 months. Just want to point that out. Thank you.
Thank you. Any more discussion on the CEO's report? If not, I'd entertain a motion to accept the report as presented. Moved by Councillor Sherry Hurlbert, seconded by Councillor Lauren Cushion. Motion on the floor. Any more discussion? Hearing none? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Next item, Warden's report. Nowhere near as detailed. I was away, as a lot of you know, for the past couple weeks. I just returned on a Monday and jumped right back into it. One thing that I want to highlight that I did not add in my report was something that happened on the 18th of April. As council knows, and as a lot of residents that watch the broadcast knows, council approved a MFR station, the first one the municipality district of Yarmouth owns or is operated by the Carleton Fire Department. That should be up and running by sometime next week. We had EHS come down to the Carleton Fire Department and present certificates to the new medical first responders. They received all their equipment from EHS, and all they have to do now is they have to register online and give EHS the go-ahead to start doing the call-outs on any medical emergencies that we may have. Something else that I'd like to point out is a lot of you notice I seem to be a little bit frazzled when I come in here. I just came from a fire call earlier, and actually a lot of the new MFR members were there at the fire call with us today, so I'd like to thank them. They're not only going to be serving the community to help with medical issues, but they're also they're going to be trained on how to operate the equipment, and all the training that's available to all the firefighters, they're going to be available to take. And it's going to be my responsibility, since our ratepayers meeting and election officers, I've been elected as the new training officer for the Carleton Fire Department. So it's going to be my responsibility to make sure that everyone's cross-trained, and that department and others are also working quite well. One thing I should point out, we do have MFR stations in the municipality of Yarmouth other than Carleton. Just Carleton is the first one the municipality of Yarmouth did. Port Maitland, they are partnered with Beaver River Fire Department in the municipality of Clare, and Lake Vaughan. And Kempville is also MFR first responders. They serve under the municipality of Argyle. They just partnered up with closer communities. We also have some new MFRs that are from other fire departments. I do believe Lake George and Valiant District are also going to, there's some members that are taking training with us when they do that. So that's something that is badly needed, especially when you live in the outskirts of the municipality. EHS is a lot farther away than the first responders, so it's going to help people with calls of distress, car accidents and stuff like that, and also to help our firefighters also be safe on scene if there's an injury there. So it's something that I'm very thankful for all the volunteers in all fire departments that step up and serve our communities. Without them, I don't know how we could afford it. So thank you very much, everyone. That's one thing I wanted to add to my warden's report that I didn't put in here. And also, the last thing is, I please refer you to my report, Mr. McRae. He sadly passed, 106-year-old veteran of World War II. He was supposed to meet the plane that he used to fly in during the end of World War II. The event's going to be happening out at the Yarmouth International Airport. That event is still going on. Instead of a celebration of him meeting up with his new plane, it's going to be a celebration of life. The plane is still coming, all the events still going on, and I'd like to thank the Royal Canadian Legion, Branch 61, for holding that event, and looking forward to that. I do believe all councillors got an invite, and please stay tuned to our website to make sure, and Facebook page, to make sure that you'll be able to go out there and see the plane and meet with the family of our war hero. So that's my report. Oh, I do have one more thing, something that I say every year, and it also relates a little bit to Earth Day in regards to garbage. Out in the community in Carleton, we have our annual canoe fun run. It's not an organized event, but it used to be. but it's something that's been going on since 1980. I've been a participant since 1986. When we go out during that fun run, we also collect garbage, cans, bottles, and try to clean up the river frontage, and it's also amazing how much garbage that comes out of there. I make a point to try to pack out as much garbage as I can, so just remember that littering not only happens on our roadways, it also happens on our waterways. So I please urge everyone, if you are out and about across the municipality, please pack it out. Some people pack it in, they don't pack it out. If you're out there, please pack it out, because we're just trying to make our environment a little bit better. So that's my report. Moving on to item 10.3, Heritage Incentive Rebate Program Report, 2023-2024. Councillor Hurlbert?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you to the, what is Jenny's proper title, along with Clerk, Heritage Coordinator, maybe do a quick review of that report for us. Thank you.
Recording Clerk, Jenny
Sure.
Porter.
So back in 2021, council implemented this rebate program for our municipally registered heritage properties. And it's basically an incentive for them and to help them keep the upkeep of their properties, because we know heritage homes are costly to repair and maintain. So since the program's been implemented, if I recall correctly, this only shows last year's totals and this year's, last year's and the previous year's fiscal totals. It's been a consistent 9 applications that we've been getting, and we have 33 registered properties who qualify for the program. Understanding not everybody is doing maintenance to their properties, and the report also includes some before and after photos of some of the work that's being done to these properties. So yeah, I encourage our registered property owners who qualify for the program to continue to participate in it.
Thank you. Moving on, item 10.4, legal entities. We have a bunch of written reports. Is there any verbal reports for that? Councillor Patty Durkee.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to report that the Yarmouth and Acadian Shores Tourism Association met this week to review the budget, and we already have a request from them. One of the big changes this year is the fact that we've put in place a bylaw with regards to the levy for all short-term rentals, and we're still unsure exactly how much that will generate financially. But the good news for us is that there are only three units in the province that have actually completed that. So we're kind of setting the table for everybody else. They're coming to us to see how we have done our levy bylaw and going forward with it. It gives us a little bit advantage because in the municipality of the District of Yarmouth and the town, we have both adopted the new bylaw. Tomorrow there's a discussion in Argyle, but the good news is hopefully that we will get more funding for the marketing of our Yarmouth and Acadian Shores, and whatever we have, it gives us a leg up because we're competing against the rest of the world. And so the more marketing we can do and the better statistics we have to drive people to, I don't mean physically drive, but get people to come to our area, the better. And I think that's it for now. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Any more verbal reports for legal entities? Councillor Nick Hilton.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and just a couple brief updates. Mariner Center expansion. We continue to move forward. We are at the point where we received the 99% drawings, which means we're getting close to tender the project. Trying to get all our ducks in a row so that we can do that. Just a big shout out to the fundraising committee there that's already committed $6.1 million of community funds and looking to stretch that as high as 10. So that committee's doing amazing work, and we thank them for that. And hopefully we'll see us break ground on that before year's end, but as long as everything falls in place. But that's where we're headed. And that's the Mariner Center expansion. In Yarmouth Area Industrial Commission, we don't talk about that as much, and we should, because the work that's been done there by that board and General Manager Greg Shea, really, since the beginning of our term, has been quite significant, and you guys probably deserve more updates. But the clinics, that Harbour South and the clinic in Argyle, have been now transferred to the Nova Scotia Health Authority. I know we've talked about that before, but what that means is we're going to get more patients in there, more doctors in there. They're moving towards a collaborative practice where you'll see more nurse practitioners in there, more supporting, what's the word? Practitioners like physiotherapy, dietary, other things like that, a true collaborative practice. So you're going to see an intake of people that may have not had family physicians being serviced by those clinics. So I think that's significant, and maybe to this council, being budget month, the most significant part is we've removed the deficit that those clinics used to. We've removed accrue for our taxpayers to pay. So I think that our share was upwards of $40,000, I believe, 26 or 40,000, somewhere in there. So that's off our books for this year. And the Port Authority is now moving forward to a board made up of the public and not so much of elected officials. So maybe they can start to apply for and search for more grants, more government funding to repair the near $20 million in repairs those wharfs are going to need in downtown Yarmouth. So that's great, and really we've removed a lot of heavy lifting from the Industrial Commission in this 4-year term.
Thank you very much. Any more? One thing that I should add, item 10.4.8 in regards to the Yarmouth International Airport Corporation. Some of you council is aware, but the public may not be aware that we have a new tenant out at the airport. It's called Sperry Robotics. They design and test drones. We signed an agreement with that company that they're going to be operating out of there for the next 5 years. So that's some exciting news that's happening out in the airport. People may be concerned that it's going to affect air traffic because some of you may or may not know that there is roughly 1,400 touchdowns out there. However, that they only book out certain airspace, and they notify people when they're going to be using it and stuff like that. But that's something new, some new activity that's going to be happening out at the Yarmouth Airport. So if you do see drones flying around, that's why. They're only allowed in certain areas outlined in the agreement, which I can't disclose, but just wanted to point that out. It's something new that's happening, and we've worked on that for a while, and it's just showing that our airport is utilized some more. And I just seen that I had an email today about something else that someone wants to contact us about that I just didn't notice. So the airport, we are moving forward with that. Our budget was passed by the board, and it's also being sent to council. So hopefully we get a positive response, and we're moving forward. That's one large asset that helps us out with many different aspects out around here, whether it's firefighting or rescue for our fishermen and inland. also for the Department of National Defense. So the airport is being utilized. We are working on making sure that that is a going concern and stays open. Okay, that's the end of those reports. Item 10.5, advisory committees. Is there any verbal reports for advisory committees? Councillor Patty Durkee.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was participated in a member of the Community Navigator Oversight Committee, and it was interesting. The ABSS Consulting just did a research project where they met with a number of doctors, and we're looking at what are the needs of the area, what do they like, what don't they like, and they made actually some suggestions which were very good. It was an excellent report, and the committee's going to get together and have a brainstorming session about what are some of the needs that we can meet. So there were two things that stood out as being really important, and one of them is that they felt that there should be a recruiter from Nova Scotia Health in Yarmouth. We used to have one of those a long time ago, and the present recruiters are from Kentville and Bridgewater, and so the committee will be discussing that and coming up with suggestions. One of may be for us to write a letter to Nova Scotia Health to ask for that, because the two recruiters, one is for family doctors and the other is for specialties, and they don't live here, and they feel that could be a detriment. That being said, the job of our community navigator works with the recruiters, but they're not specifically able to make contracts or send notifications or things like that. The position is that they're here to try and convince people to come to Yarmouth to sell our area. And I have to say, they've been doing an absolutely fantastic job. And we have two new doctors coming. So it's just been, in the last year or so, pretty amazing. And will they all stay? No, there'll be some. We've got some retirements coming, which is kind of scary, because the doctors who are going to be retiring have very huge caseloads. And doctors today do not want to take that on. So I'm looking forward to see what happens with our clinics, to see how they are staffed. One of the other issues that they brought forward was that they would really love to see passenger service at our airport. That's a huge detriment for people who are moving here from other parts of the world, because they don't want to have to drive to Halifax and then get on a plane there. They want to be able to come here, jump on a plane, and out they go. And so that has been a concern for some time. And I know that I spoke to some of the doctors about that at a function, and they talked to Greg, and, you know, they are trying to come up with some ideas of things that might make a difference here. Or they will also be advocating to the government, to other levels of government, to provide some funding for improvements at the airport. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. I have a report for the Marketing Promotions Levy Advisory Committee. We'll be meeting this Friday with research firm 21 FSP, and that's in regards to the understand the direct and indirect impacts of the main Nova Scotia ferry service. They've been commissioned to develop the economic analysis, and the MPLAC committee will be getting a report from them. Actually, I think it's this Friday. So we all know what the impacts are. We're just going to have it properly done by a research firm. So I'm looking very forward to attending that meeting under the MPLAC committee. Any more verbal reports under advisory? Seeing none. Ad hoc? Madam CEO?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So the Fence Arbitration Committee does actually have two active files in front of it. We met to address one file about a week and a half ago. The Federation of Agriculture's representative on the Fence Arbitration Committee has fallen ill, and we're waiting for the appointment of an alternate to convene the next meeting.
Thank you. Item 11, public comments. Nobody signed up for public comments this council meeting. So we'll move in to the in-camera, but I would entertain a motion to have a recess for 5 minutes. Moved by Deputy Warden Trevor Cunningham, seconded by Councillor Nick Hilton. Motion on the floor to go into recess for 5 minutes, but reconvene in camera. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you, council.